Hello, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome indeed to today's iOB Business webinar. My name is Ben, and I'm the resident business coach here at iOB Business, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you on today's webinar session. Now, if this is if this is your first time on joining us on one of these iOB Business webinars, a little bit about how they operate right before we get kicked off for today's session. Okay, so once again, my name is Ben. I'm the resident business coach here at iOB Business, and I'll be taking you through today's webinar session. Now, we always begin with a brief introduction, such as one we're doing just now, just to give you a little bit about how things run before we get kicked off. Now, once we're finished with that, we'll dive into the webinar session itself, which is going to run for around about 15 to 20 minutes or so today. Okay, and then after the webinar session, we're going to do a Q&A session. Now, this part is all about questions, all about asking whatever you like when it comes to marketing, business, the webinar, whatever you want to ask. So please don't be shy in asking questions throughout today's webinar, because it's always a pleasure to answer them. Okay, now in between each of the three topics on today's session, I'm going to give you a brief moment to jot down any notes that you may wish to take, and also to fire away with any questions that you might have for us on today's session as well. We always have a few, and it's always a pleasure to answer them, so please don't be shy. Okay, so that's us just hit the 2 o'clock mark. Okay, we're just waiting for one or two more people to join us. Welcome to those of you that are coming on now. Hiya, how you doing? Okay, cool. So let's go ahead then and switch off the video camera. You shouldn't be able to see my face anymore, but you should still be able to hear my voice, and indeed you should still be able to see the presentation up on screen in just a moment's time. Awesome. Okay, cool. So before we get kicked off with today's session, if I could please ask a big favor from you, just let me know in the chat box if you can hear my voice okay, and if you can see the presentation that we have for you up on screen there today as well. Once I have that confirmation, I will get us started with today's session. Fabulous. Okay, perfect. So it looks like we're ready to rock. Thank you so much. Thumbs up. Yes, good to go. Awesome. Okay, so how to achieve the perfect flow in your business is the topic of today's session. Okay, your presenter today, once again, my name is Ben, and I'm a business coach. I specialize in working with small businesses, helping them achieve stability and growth. Small businesses, just like many of you on here today, many aspiring business owners, many aspiring agency owners on here as well. This webinar is for everyone, so a huge, big, warm welcome to everyone that is on here today. It's a pleasure to have you on and be presenting with you. Okay, so number one, establish healthy routines. Okay, the three core topics that we're going to discuss today. Number one, establish healthy routines. Okay, we're talking about achieving the perfect flow. Now, flow is, of course, a very, very fun word to use for this kind of thing. It's a very, very descriptive word, and it really, what it means is everybody knows when you have that flow. Okay, that flow is when you feel good, when things are going super, super well, when you feel in the zone. Okay, everything's flowing like water. Okay, that's what we're looking to achieve. So number two, make sure systems are in place for your business. Okay, a huge, huge one that we're going to spend a good amount of time talking about, because it is one that is so incredibly important. And number three, be selective of your team and your clients. Okay, this one just as, if not potentially more important. Okay, being selective of who you choose to have around you can massively influence the way you feel on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so let's get kicked off then with establishing healthy routines. Okay, now here's the first point. For everything to feel as though it's flowing smoothly, your mind must first be in the right place. Okay, now allow me to paint a picture for you. Okay, say we're having a great sleep, we're in bed, it's nighttime, we go through to the morning. Now we miss our alarm, we hit snooze, and we accidentally go back to sleep, for example. Okay, now we wake up 2 hours later than we were supposed to. Say we're supposed to get up at 6, we end up getting up at 8. Now, first of all, how are we going to wake up? How are we going to feel? Okay, chances are we're going to feel stressed, a little bit rocky, a little bit disorganized. We're going to be rushing about trying to catch up. Okay, now with that 2-hour delay, what does that also mean? We're probably going to skip breakfast, coffee, shower, any kind of morning maintenance that we do. Now, what happens then? Well, the start to our day, we're feeling pretty rocky, pretty disorganized, pretty uncomfortable. We haven't had our coffee, we haven't had our breakfast, we haven't had a shower, we haven't woken out of bed on time, we don't feel well rested, we feel stressed. Okay, now again, this stress is going to cause you potentially to feel more tired, anxious, feeling like already you're going to have a pretty rubbish day. Okay, now that's one picture. It's one pretty negative picture. Okay, let's flip the coin on that. Let's say you set an alarm for 6 a.m., you wake up at 5:45 naturally. Okay, you're ahead of your alarm by 15 minutes. You're ready to get up because you've woken up naturally. You feel great. You're excited. You take your time in the next 2 hours. You go and get your breakfast. You go and get your coffee, wherever you like to get your coffee. You've had a nice shower. You're ready. You're set for the day. Okay. Psychologically, the difference between those 2 days is astronomical. Okay. We need to understand as entrepreneurs and just simply as human beings how important these routines that we have are. Now, even if you don't have an alarm as such, okay, even if this sort of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. alarm are non-existent, even if that's something that doesn't really apply to you, okay, I would strongly suggest putting that in place for yourself, because it's very, very difficult to have a productive or good day, so to speak, in the business world if we're not giving ourselves any kind of borders. We're not giving ourselves any kind of guidelines to work within, any kind of routine. If we just sort of wake up whenever we want and sort of do a few bits, odds and ends, and then go back to doing whatever we want, you're not going to feel like you achieved anything that day, because anything you did do, you probably won't remember because you didn't actually take much time to focus on and think about it. Now, I would be pretty safe in saying, I'm sure, that this sounds familiar. And it's something that we want to look at breaking out of. Okay. So creating routine, both personal and in business, will show your mind some consistency. Okay. Now, looking at how we feel consistently is something that's very, very important, how we go on through our days. Okay. Now, creating this routine, it very much allows us to have a think about how we want to run our lives and therefore how we want to run our business on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Now, the personal routine feeds very, very strongly into the business routine. Okay. It'll show your mind consistency. Now, without delving too deep into anything that I'm not qualified to speak about, okay, from my personal experience, I have seen that my mind better understands routine and habitual patterns when it sees regular routine in my personal life. It's then easier to implement it in my business life. Okay. It's very, very difficult to commit to any kind of habitual routine in your business world, okay, in your 9 to 5, in your work life, whatever, if you don't have any consistency in your personal routine. If you're waking up at sort of erratic hours, you're not going to bed at sort of semi-regular times, you find yourself jumping from left to right. Some mornings you have breakfast, some mornings you don't. You're going to feel different every time you get into the office. Now, the goal is to start feeling really the same every time you get into the office, okay? Because then with this, it shows you consistency and you can begin to establish how you feel. Similar breakfast, okay? Coffee at a similar time, wake up at a similar time. Now, there's something that I love talking about, and again, I won't delve too deeply into this, for just now, but we're looking at experiments here essentially. And whenever you conduct an experiment, some of the variables have to be the same to allow for any kind of actual accurate results to be taken. Okay, if the variables are different every time you do the experiment, you're not measuring anything because you have no base to measure from. For example, if you're waking up at random times throughout the day and you get into the office every day at the same time, okay, you might be able to pick up, well, if I wake up earlier, I feel better. If I wake up later, I feel worse. But if you're arriving into the office at random times and you're waking up in the morning at different times, random times, you won't really know how you feel or where your head's at. You won't be able to take any kind of gauge. Okay. So try and be consistent as much as you can. Now, consistency is the root of long-term success. Sporadic behaviors are something that we should seek to reduce. Okay. Consistency is doing something even when we feel like we don't really want to. Okay. Because I can guarantee some nights you're not going to want to go to bed by midnight. Some days you're not going to want to wake up at 6 a.m. Other days you're not going to want to take that half an hour commute to the office. Other days you're not going to want to have the porridge and oats for breakfast. Okay. But consistency is the root of long-term success. Whether we're talking about improving our personal health, whether we're talking about growing a business, whether we're talking about achieving something in education, we have to be consistent. Okay. You can't really hope to pass a complicated exam if you study an hour beforehand. Okay. But if you've been studying an hour every single day for 3 months, probably a pretty strong chance that you're going to do well in that exam. Okay. So consistency, it's the root of long-term success. Sporadic behavior is something that we really, really want to kick out of our system. So with a strong routine, you'll bring a tranquil feel to your day-to-day, and therefore set your expectations of yourself fairly. Okay, now setting fair expectations of yourself is an extraordinarily important thing here. And it's much, much easier to do that when you feel calm and you understand how you're feeling. And this is where the consistency comes in again. Make sure you're waking up at the same time every day and you're following the same morning routine, and then you're starting work at the same time. You do this, you'll say, well, that's funny because yesterday at the same time, I followed the exact same routine, but I felt better. Why am I feeling worse today? Okay. You can begin to pick up a gauge on these types of things. You can set expectations of yourself fairly. So after you've been doing this for a couple of weeks, you know how you feel, you know how you respond to getting up at that time. Okay. You have this tranquil feel in your day to day because you're not trying to calculate anything complicated. You feel calm, you feel peaceful because you've done everything that you like to do as you do every single day. Might sound boring, but it's very, very, very effective. Okay, so that brings us to the end of topic number one. I'm going to give you a moment now. Please do go ahead and jot down some notes and indeed fire away with any questions that you have. And I'll join you again in just a moment's time for topic number two. Okay, fantastic. So hopefully you've had a good chance to do that now. Thank you for the question. I'll get that for you at the end. Okay, so next up we have make sure systems are in place for your business. Okay, now here's what we're going to be looking at throughout today's topic number two. Okay, intelligent systems massively reduce the chaos effect. Okay, that can take hold of businesses at the worst possible times. Okay, so let's say a worst possible time for this chaos-like effect to take place. Okay, chaos effect is somewhat self-explanatory in the sense that everything's a little bit haywire, everything's a little bit left and right, up and down. We don't know what's going on. Things are flying all around us. We don't know where to look. Okay, now this is where the chaos effect kicks in. So say we're doing something big, say we're doing a product launch, or we're rolling out something new for the business, we're doing a service launch, we're recruiting new staff members, whatever it is that we're doing. Okay, this chaos effect can really begin to grapple you as a business owner and take hold of the business when we haven't prepared accordingly to handle the kind of pressure that we're going to put on the business. Okay, it's almost like trying to build a physical structure and then putting a 1,000-kilo weight on the top, a 1-ton weight, but only having thin wood supports underneath. It's going to crumble. Okay, it cannot support the pressure. So we need to make sure that this chaos effect is eliminated from the business completely by having intelligent systems in place. Okay, intelligent systems that help you stay organized. Okay, for example, knowing where you need to be and when you need to be there. Okay, that's meeting organization, appointment organization, making sure that you're in touch with whatever it is that you need to be doing, okay, at that point in time, because that will massively, massively reduce the chaos effect. One of the biggest things that we struggle with, the reason that we feel like things are chaotic is because, oh, I forgot that meeting. I need to run over there now. Or, oh God, I forgot to get that proposal sent over to that person. So I need to go and do that now. Okay. However, if you just have on your calendar that day, send proposal to this person, meeting with this person at this location, you will do it effectively and you will execute well. Okay. Always, always organize your time. Okay. That's just one example of an intelligent system. Now, to achieve flow, you must be allowed to focus on doing what is most valuable to the business whilst knowing that everything else is being taken care of. Okay. Now, this flow or this Zen-like state where, we sit in, it's almost funny, we're almost in this sort of tranquil state where we're so calm and we're enjoying what we do so much because we know that everything else is being taken care of. We've got our account managers taking meetings, for example. We've got our admin assistants running all of the admin, okay, sending out invoices, things like that. We've got our accountants taking care of the books, okay. We've got marketing teams running the marketing. We're there with new ideas. We're speaking with high-profile clients. We're doing this kind of thing, okay. This is just an example. But for this flow to be achieved, you've got to be allowed to focus on doing what is the most valuable tasks for the business, whilst knowing that everything else is taken care of, because it's very, very hard to focus on these valuable tasks. Okay, high income tasks, like for example, high level prospecting meetings. Okay. If you don't know that everything else is being taken care of, you're going to be thinking about, your mind is going to be elsewhere. You're going to be thinking, did we send out those invoices today? Have we got those documents done for this week? Did we send that report to that client? If you're thinking all of these things, it's going to be near impossible for you to stay focused on the meeting at hand, for example. Okay, so much of the day-to-day tasks can be automated, outsourced, or allocated to an efficient standard operating procedure. Okay, now let's talk about automation. Okay, automation is allowing things to happen on their own, and this is through the use of software. Okay, software systems. For example, you can schedule your social media to be posted out at the same time every week. You plan it all on a Sunday, say, and then it posts out without your, without you needing to be physically involved throughout the rest of the week. You can do the same with sending out emails. You can draft all of your marketing emails on a Sunday evening, or whenever you so choose, and it will send out automatically throughout the rest of the week. Okay, these day-to-day tasks, they can be automated and saving you an enormous amount of time. Okay, because writing an email on Monday, then again on Tuesday, then again on Wednesday, then again on Thursday, it's just going to be an unnecessary task that you don't need to be doing, and it's going to distract you from doing whatever else it was that you were doing. Okay, we can also outsource work, as we just discussed. We can hire an admin assistant to take care of the files and organization. We can hire an accountant to take care of the books. Okay, other stressful things that can be outsourced. Okay, now the final component here is if it really can't be delegated, outsourced, or automated, we can then allocate it to a standard operating procedure. Okay, now standard operating procedures are documents that are put together to show us how to do a certain task most effectively, most productively, and most importantly, the way we want it to be done every single time. So if it's been a while since you did a task, go and find the SOP, okay, short for standard operating procedure, follow it top to bottom, and the task is done. Okay, no stress, no questions, no queries, no worries. Okay, it tells us exactly how it should be done. These systems are in place for your business to make your life easier. Okay, systems such as CRM, customer relationship management, digital calendars, and appointment booking software, they can help reduce the amount of time you spend on non-income producing tasks. Okay, monitoring your database health inside your CRM. Okay, it's something that is very good to know, but it's not something that may directly produce income. Okay, digital calendars, again, they allow us to spend time on income producing tasks because we put all the appointments in when we get them, and then we just sort of look at our calendar for the day and we see what we're doing. And appointment booking software, even better, that's one step better because people will go in and book their appointments with us. So all we have to do is look at our digital calendar and say, okay, well, I'm meeting person one, person two, person three at time one, time two, and time three today. Happy days. Okay, so it helps reduce the amount of time you spend on these non-income producing tasks, such as emailing back and forth, thinking about how long it's taking you to organize an appointment with this person, okay, because you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If somebody could just open up a calendar and click whenever works for them because they know what suits you, optimal, okay? Think about systemization, think about efficiency. So that brings us to the end of topic number 2. I'm going to give you, again, another brief moment to jot down any questions and indeed take some notes. And I'll see you again in topic number 3 in just a moment's time. Wonderful. So hopefully you've had the opportunity to do that now, and we can move on to topic number 3, being selective of your team and your clients. Okay. Now, this one, we always stir up a couple of questions on this one. Okay. Now, it's quite an interesting topic. Okay. So if you're outsourcing or building a team to work with you in your digital agency, it's crucial that you find the right candidates for the correct job role. Okay, this is a very important thing. Okay, any administration assistant might not be the administration assistant that you need. Okay, any marketing team might not be the marketing team that you need. Okay, we have to think very specifically about your digital agency and exactly what roles you need to fill and when you need to fill them, how they need to be filled. Okay, we're talking qualifications, characteristics, experience levels, all of these different things, okay? Because one marketing person could be incredible at advertising. Maybe you want somebody to think about marketing strategy, not just implement advertising, okay? So it's crucial that you find the right candidates for the correct job. You have to highlight exactly what the gap is in your agency. And again, we don't want to just say we want marketing. We need to be specific. We need to say we want somebody to implement paid advertising at X amount of level for X amount of hours on X amount of days. Okay, that then allows us to get extraordinarily specific with how much time we're going to pay for, how often we're going to need someone, what we expect of them, and what we expect them to implement. It's very difficult to find the right person without you yourself personally getting specific first. Okay, it's almost like walking into a restaurant and saying, give me anything on the menu, just give me food. But then when something comes out that you don't like, we can't then be surprised because we didn't ask for anything specific. Okay, so point number 2, one key cause of this chaos that we discussed in topic number 2 today is when team members will not or cannot execute their job properly for one reason or another. Okay, so we hire this incorrect candidate, okay, and it's not their fault, okay, because they didn't necessarily know what was expected of them because we didn't highlight that. Now, when this chaos begins to occur, which ultimately it will, because they can't deliver on the job that you expect them to do. Okay, now whoever's fault it is, this is going to cause a chaotic element within the business because stuff isn't getting done. It's not getting done on time, or it's not getting done at all. Okay, or it's getting done poorly. Now, this begins to turn chaos because your clients are getting angry. They're talking about leaving. They're not getting the reports on time. They're not getting the results that were first promised to them. Okay, this key cause of chaos is really when team members are in the wrong position or with the wrong company. Okay, now, like I said, it's not necessarily anyone's fault. We should have been more specific, and perhaps they should have evaluated what you needed from them a little bit more. However, it's so avoidable. Okay, this is why we're talking about it now. You can make sure that you avoid these situations by simply highlighting the job description that you need and filling it with the right person. Okay, now that's candidates, that's outsourcing, that's delegation, that's employment. Okay, that same theory follows. If you're looking to employ someone in-house, you're outsourcing to a virtual assistant, for example, or you're delegating to somebody else, a subcontractor, for example. It's extremely relevant in every single capacity. So please, please, please do intensive research on the job role that you need before you hire for it. Okay, now, believe it or not every client is a good client. Okay, and this is something I want to clarify with you. As a business coach, as an entrepreneur myself, okay, I've had many clients. I've worked with many of my own clients who have their own clients. Many of you lovely people on here today. I've had the pleasure of speaking with you as well. Okay, so it's learning that not every client is a good client. Okay, and this is very, very important to understand, because the more we grasp this concept, the more we can begin to understand that the way our business runs on a day-to-day basis is how we build it and how we allow it to run. Okay, a toxic, negative atmosphere created by difficult clients, or clients that aren't a good fit for the business, or clients that we can't perform well enough for, creates a very stressful environment. It creates a very unpleasant situation to be in. We can end up giving refunds. We can end up losing money. We can end up having to pay out compensation for bad results. Okay, it's not a good idea to take on a client that you don't believe is truly a good fit for the agency. Okay, we must seek to assess our core values and therefore the types of clients we wish to serve within our agency. Okay, if we enjoy transparency and that's one of our core values, and if we're prospecting a client that won't tell us anything and they're being super secretive about their business, then we can't really work with them. If we don't know what's going on with you, we can't possibly hope to help you with your advertising or help grow your business, because you're shielding everything from us. If we can't see it, we can't understand it. And if we can't understand it, we can't do anything for you. Okay, we've got to assess our core values. Transparency is just an example. If another core value is politeness, for example, okay, and the client is being rude, that's a simple one. It's a no-go. Okay, it's just my experience and just my opinion as always, but it's something I would strongly recommend you think twice about before bringing a potentially negative client into your atmosphere. So that brings us to the end of topic number 3. I'm going to give you a brief moment now. Please do take this time to jot down any questions that you have, any final questions. I'll get them for you in the Q&A session at the end in just a moment's time. Then we're going to move on to the recap, and I will see you again for that in just a moment's time. Okay, fabulous. So hopefully you've had a chance to ask away. Thank you for the question. I'll get that for you in just a moment's time. Okay, so to recap, your personal routine feeds into your business routine. Show your mind some consistency. It's very, very difficult to achieve consistency in the business world without having first done it in the personal world. Number 2, run your business with tranquility. Feel calm, feel ready, feel focused every day. Okay, that you do this by allowing yourself time to think, outsourcing, delegating, systemizing. Okay, and finally, not every client is a good client. Okay, that is abundantly true. Okay, in my eyes, it is something that I cannot emphasize enough. Yes, we want clients. Yes, we need cash flow for the business to work, but we do not have to take on negative clients, okay? Because it can actually create a worse atmosphere for you. So, as always, a massive thank you for taking the time to attend our webinar today. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. If you would like to talk to a member of our team, you can head over to iob-business.com/talk-to-us. You can go ahead on here and book a call at a time that suits you. So when you go to this link, you'll see a calendar just like this one. I'm going to leave it up on screen for you now whilst I go and grab the questions that I have from you today. Okay, perfect. So first question, is any client not better than no? client. Awesome. Okay, great question. So essentially what the question that's being asked here is anyone that's going to pay us money, is that not better than nobody paying us money at all? My answer is, well, let's just run through some scenarios. Say a bad client could be paying the invoices late, if even paying them at all. Okay, so worst case, you've done an enormous amount of work for this client, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of work, and you're not getting paid for it. Okay, because they're dodging calls, they're dodging email. Okay, it's just one example. Continual complaints emails. Okay, that's another one. I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with that. Unrealistic standards over and above what we agreed to do for them. Okay, they now believe that because they're paying us money that we are obliged to do something that we didn't say we were going to do, spend extra time on campaigns, invest our own money into it, whatever they might be asking us to do. Now, you might also get continual meeting requests. Can I see you today? Can I see you tomorrow? Can I speak with you this morning? Can I catch you before you go into the office? Okay. Boundaries are extraordinarily important and clients must respect them. Okay. There has to be a professional agreement between yourself and the client at all times. All right. It's so important to get on to some extent on a personal level with the client. Okay. So the right client will help you excel. The right client will help you feel confident. They'll pay you their fees on time. You'll be cash flowing well because of them. Okay. You'll be delivering. They'll be happy with their results. The right client will help you excel. The wrong client can pull you down. The wrong client can make you feel as if you don't like the business, you don't like the industry. And in fact, that isn't true. Okay. You just don't have the right client. Awesome question. Thank you for asking. Next question. Is there a key system that you would recommend? Awesome. Okay, great question. So I think this means is there out of all the systems we spoke about today, is there one in particular that I would highlight? I would probably say on that one, probably the most straightforward and probably the easiest to implement right now would be standard operating procedures. Okay, so they're, just to cover them again, they're essentially bullet pointed documents that cover the steps of how to do something from A to Z. Okay, so say I wanted to build a website page, give me points 1 through 9 on how to do that. For example, open up web development software, pick option A, then pick option 2, then design the way you want it to, then publish and save, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so they're an invaluable tool because they show you how to do things most efficiently. If you haven't done something in a while, it's very easy to forget how to do something if you haven't done it in 6 months. But in addition to that, it allows you to outsource and delegate far easier, okay, because it saves us so much time on training. So say you did hire a virtual assistant, instead of having to spend time physically showing and training them on what to do, you can just show them an SOP document. Okay, it's so black and white. There's not really any room for mistakes. Mistakes might still happen, but much likely to have a lot less mistakes. Much more likely, to have a lot less mistakes because of these documents being put in place compared to if they weren't there at all. Another awesome question. Thank you for giving me the chance to answer. Okay, any more questions from today? No, doesn't look like it. Okay, well, as always, a huge thank you for taking the time today. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you on today's iOB business webinar, and I very much look forward to seeing you again on the next one. Take care and bye for now.